Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. So USA Today put out a piece and was talking about a potential breakout player for every NFL team. And John Seigler from Saints Wire was in charge of nominating the Saints breakout star. And his nomination was one that I find interesting because I'm not certain that he hasn't already broken out, but I'll listen to the discussion. His nomination was Rashid Shaheed. He writes, Rashid Shaheed was a big player for the Saints last year, earning Pro Bowl and All-Pro honors for his skills in the return game. He caught 46 passes for 719 yards and 5 touchdowns as a receiver, but he's in line for an even heavier workload now that Clint Kubiak is taking over from Pete Carmichael. Look for Shaheed to draw more targets now that Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, and Shaq Davis have moved on. He's got game-breaking speed and a connection with Derek Carr that Kubiak hopes to exploit. Okay, one, he does acknowledge that Shaheed is a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro in the return game, so that alone gives you name recognition. And I would suggest that 719 yards and 5 touchdowns as a number 2 is a pretty solid year. Now, I don't buy that Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, and Shaq Davis were taking a lot of receptions away from Rashid Shaheed. Those guys were minimal factors on the team last year, were either not healthy, not active, or not around. And Shaheed was right there in the middle of most of the year. You look at what Rashid Shaheed has done in 2 years in New Orleans. In 2 years, he's made 74 catches for 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns, and the lion's share of that was last year. I feel like Rashid Shaheed is kind of announced, but we did go through receiving cores and what one service ranked every receiving core in the NFL last week, and the Saints got 29th in that, and it makes some sense because I don't think Chris Olave is quite at the level as some of the true number ones in the league, and maybe Rashid Shaheed is a tick behind the true number 2s in the league, but I feel like Rashid Shaheed is really good for what he is, and I just don't know that I expect him to become a 1,400-yard, 9-touchdown guy. I think Rashid Shaheed kind of is what he is. He's a big play threat that's going to come up with 700-800 yards receiving, 4 or 5 touchdowns, and that's what he's already done, in my estimation.
Well, I'm kind of more, he can though, because Tyreek Hill was same thing as him. He started off, he got I think he made all pro his first year as a returner. So it's possible, but it's also that falls on the quarterback too at the same time, and we're expecting Derek Carr to.
He will be the quarterback.
Yeah, I know that's kind of like that's kind of the problem.
The one place that I think potentially you could see even more production from Rashid Shaheed is not necessarily because Clint Kubiak is calling the offense, which I do think was going to help.
Yes.
But the new kickoff rules mean that this is going to be a bigger part of the game than it was when everybody was booming it out of the back of the end zone. Now you've got the coverage team up there close. You've got the blockers right there in front of them. And we believe, based on what the rules state, that teams will be far more encouraged to try to return kicks.
Yes.
And so we think that Rashid Shaheed's going to be involved in that. We think Alvin Kamara is going to be involved in that. We think Taysom Hill is going to be involved in that. And I think the creativity, the new rules, and in my guess would be that there's going to be an elevation in return opportunities. That is where I want Rashid Shaheed involved in it. And maybe he breaks out in that way. He runs 2 kickoffs back for touchdowns, which you don't see now.
It's possible. He can.
No doubt.
I'm going to say, we've seen it at the Packers game.
Yeah, and so I think if there is a revitalization of the returner in the sport, which to me is an awesome thing, I can absolutely see Rashid Shaheed becoming that dude. And as we look at the Saints receiving core, Jordan,
yes,
how do you feel about how it stacks up? We know Olave's at the top. We know Shaheed is right there. And then you've got a cast of characters with Bub Means and A.T. Perry, and they brought in some free agents that are on smaller deals. How do you feel about the level of talent at wide receiver?
I feel the talent is there. It's just unproven. So I think we have bodies, especially A.T. Perry. I'm very high on him. Very high on him. Because what I've seen from limited action last year, I'm sold. I'm not sold, but I'm sold he can, he'll be in the mix. So I think 29 was pretty mean. I think the 29 ranking was, I don't know where they got that from, but it's a lot of unproven talent. So yes, it's talented, but unproven a lot.
And I'm there. Like, we've moved on from the Michael Thomas era, and to me, that's a good thing. I don't know how much gas is left in that tank, and I think even though Shaheed was an old rookie at 24, he's now going into his year 26 season. He's still got 3-4 years of elite level speed left in his wheels, and Olave I think is only going to get better after a couple of 1,000-yard seasons. So while it may not be the most elite receiving core in the NFL, I certainly think it's more than serviceable.
Yes.
It's a passing league. You've got real talent. And the Saints have made a habit, and it's one of the better things about their organization, of finding some diamonds in the rough, especially at the skill positions that other people may have missed. And Shaheed embodies that wholly. And so when I say that I don't know that he's a breakout candidate, I don't mean that because I don't believe in Rashid Shaheed. Yeah. I love watching him. He's incredible to watch, and he made a couple of huge plays last year to ice games in crucial situations where I was impressed that Pete Carmichael, Dennis Allen, and Derek Carr put the pedal to the metal and went and made the plays. And Shaheed was the guy that did that. And I remember Derek Carr on the sideline. We saw that thing where he just looked at Rashid Shaheed and said, "Run!" Yeah, run. Like, that was incredible content on the sidelines, and he's got that ability to just go run. I just think he's kind of announced himself already. And you were talking about fantasy football. Maybe some of the folks around the country don't know of Shaheed, but as I look at him, like down here covering the Saints, like I think of him as a really solid player. Do you think he's a guy that could be a more coveted fantasy football player this coming year with a new offense?
He's easily going to be in those, when you look at the list, top sleepers to look out for. His name's going to be in the mix.
Because I find myself a little bit partial to the Jarvis Landry type of receivers in fantasy that I just know are going to make 8 or 9 catches in a game. They're safely going to get me that 9 points. But when Shaheed busts the 65-yarder, that's the 20-point play that may flip your game that week. Yeah. And that is very much in the cards for him. He had a 68-yarder his first year. He had a 58-yarder as his long last year. Like, he's the top off the defense guy. And I think he's a very exciting piece to what they're trying to do, and hopefully Clint Kubiak brings a little more creativity and can get him the ball in some interesting spaces. Like, he's a guy that I think will benefit from the motion the Saints are going to put in and some of the creativity, because if you lose your place where your eyes are supposed to be on defense, and he's the guy that you were supposed to be looking at and you weren't because something happened pre-snap that puts you off where you're supposed to be, lights out. Like that, you're not gonna make up for that.
See, I'm kind of in a tricky position because I'm kind of becoming beggars can't be choosers.
Sure.
Because back in the day, like 2021, 2020, we was out there with LaJordan Humphrey, Marquez Callaway.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even.
That was a tough scene.
Yeah, tough. Traquan Smith. So now that we actually
Moscona's favorite, Traquan.
Yeah, Traquan Smith. I don't even know what Traquan Smith is doing nowadays, but shout out Traquan Smith. But it's like, when you go from that to what we have now, it's like I don't want to be too happy, but I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, but at that point, if he was healthy, you had like an all-pro type Michael Thomas, and now that situation's not there. So it is what it is. I think Rashid Shaheed's kind of broken out, but if you say he's the breakout guy and maybe he goes for 1,000 yards, that would be considered a breakout year. Maybe he runs 3 kicks back, that would be a breakout as well. He's an exciting player, and I think one of the really positive things about the black and gold as we venture into the offseason. If you're looking for Saints content all year round, look at YouTube, Hunt on Saints. Really appreciate it if you subscribe up to the channel. You get our Saints news right there to your feed daily as we continue to talk a little bit more Saints as things start to ramp up. A little bit of a slow period right now, but we're close to that ramp up. We'll be heading to training camp, and we'll be talking a lot of black and gold in the coming weeks. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.